Fable has been delayed to 2026, Warner Brothers cancel Wonder Woman game and close 3 studios, and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 seemingly confirmed to be launching this year. All of that today on the TripleJump Gaming News. Good morning, Ben Potter.
Good morning, Ben Potter.
How's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, thank you.
Are you ready to news them in the face?
I wish we had nicer things to talk about
Yeah,
today.
it's not. I mean, we've got a little, somewhat feel-good story at the end, but is actually just sort of based on speculation. Almost certainly true, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the first 2 stories, not great.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
First up, though, Peter, Fable. The new reboot / whatever it is from, is it, who's making it this time? It's
Playground team.
Yes.
Playground.
Has been delayed officially into 2026. This comes as part of the conversation on the official Xbox podcast. And this is per Craig Duncan, the head of Xbox Game Studios, who said, so I just want to start with, really excited about progress, really excited about where Playground are, he said. Brilliant quote. We previously announced the date for Fable as 2025. We were actually going to give Fable more time, and it's going to ship in 2026 now. Well, I know that it's not maybe the news people want to hear. What I want to assure people of is that it's definitely worth the wait. And then they released some pre-alpha gameplay as well, which... Does that mean that the game is in a pre-alpha state at the moment, or does that mean that this is footage from when it was in pre-alpha?
Yeah, because it was officially, it was described as pre-alpha. I mean, it looks pretty good, but I mean, a vertical slice is a vertical slice, isn't it? You can make the tiniest little snippet of a game look like it's finished, even if the rest of the game is not. So it's difficult to know whether it means the game is pre-alpha or this is just some stuff they had from the pre-alpha stage. But Duncan continued, I have unequivocal confidence in the Playground team. If you think about their history and legacy for Forza Horizon, the last 2 games critically acclaimed, 92 Metacritic, award-winning, beautiful, played great, and just what they're bringing to Fable as a franchise, full stop.
I love quotes like
These
this.
quotes, they love to start with the word if, and you have all that inflection, and then there's a full stop.
Yeah.
Just think of the visuals of what you expect of Playground games, plus amazing gameplay, British humour, Playground's version of Albion, so inspired by what's gone before with the franchise, but their take in, quite frankly, the most beautifully realised version of Albion you've ever seen. I mean, I think it's a fair point that Playground games are, it's always very pretty stuff. Yes. So I think aesthetically at least, we're onto a winner here. And what we've seen in the pre-alpha gameplay looks very good. Can you necessarily transfer driving gameplay expertise to third-person fantasy RPG? I mean, I'm sure they have all the talent required to do that. But, you know, it's not a given that someone who makes great driving games can necessarily make a great adventure game.
Perhaps not. They are supposedly working with Eidos Montreal on this game, who of course worked on the Guardians of the Galaxy video game, the best game ever made.
Indeed,
my perfect game. And that gives me hope. I've never really been a Fable guy released on consoles that I did not have access to. You were, though.
Yeah, I played the first one a lot.
And people are very much looking forward to this. It does feel like we have been waiting a long time for more information about this game. Yeah,
it's another case of games being announced so early these days, and we saw that initial thing with the giant version of Richard Ayoade. And since then we have seen a bit more. We saw a little bit of in-engine gameplay looking stuff like last year or maybe even 2 years ago.
Super Hands in it from
Yes, it did have Super Hands in it, but now we've got a bit more gameplay and a delay.
Speaking of games that were announced too early, onto more sad news now. The highly anticipated Wonder Woman game that was in development at Monolith has been cancelled, and along with it, Monolith themselves shut down, as well as Player First Games, who developed Multiverses, and also Warner Brothers San Diego. This is obviously horrible news and quite unexpected, quite frankly. We heard that the Wonder Woman game was in a bit of trouble, but there was, I'm trying to find who said it now, Gail Simone, who's a consultant that was apparently working on Wonder Woman, waxed lyrical in a big thread about how gorgeous and amazing that game was and how everyone working on it was incredibly talented, and it all sounds like a bit of a rug pull, like so many of these cancellations and studio closures. We know Warner Brothers obviously had Haven't had the best time of it recently with Suicide Squad massively underperforming, but as it's become more evident day by day, the decision makers at the top completely out of touch with what you should be expecting these games to do. It's specifically, Suicide Squad, I think it was one of the former Warner Bros. Heads, or perhaps he's still there, citation needed, who said that this is going to be a multi-billion-dollar game or something like that. And it just so grossly out of touch.
Yeah.
To then see this cancelled, which is a real shame. And then Monolith, who, lest we forget, made the excellent Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor games, just to be killed after 30 years of being in existence as well. Really sad.
Yeah.
Really sad.
This is according to Jason Schreier from Bloomberg, this story, so I'm sure it's going to be accurate. Also, of course, they've had issues with multiverses. That is now, I think, after a certain date, is no longer going to be supported. And it's strange to think, because they hit so hard with Hogwarts Legacy. That was many people's game of the year. It was, I think, the best-selling game of the year, or the second best-selling game of the year. And then they've just had a bit of a bad run with Suicide Squad and multiverses and so on. So, it does very much feel like poor decisions have been made at the top by people who don't necessarily understand what's going on or how best to get the most out of these teams. We already know, as you may have said actually, that Wonder Woman was already kind of rebooted or restarted internally at one point, I think in 2024. We've since, yes, here it is. We've had a quote from Warner Brothers saying that it was issued to Kotaku. Ethan Gack reports that they said, "We have had to make some very difficult decisions to structure our development studios and investments around building the best games possible with our key franchises, Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, DC, and Game of Thrones. After careful consideration, we're closing 3 of our studios, Monolith, Player First Games, and Warner Brothers Games San Diego. This is a strategic change in direction and not a reflection of these teams or the talent that consists within them." I'd argue that's worse in a way. At least if like a team has just done really badly, they've made Gollum or something, you can say, look, we know you tried your best, but you're not really performing the way we want you to perform. Perhaps our relationship needs to end here. They're actually just saying, this team's great. They were doing a really good job.
Really love them.
Really love them.
They could make a great game.
But
it's a shame that we've had to close them.
Our strategy means we're going to have to shut you down.
Yeah.
Likewise, it also feels a bit weird that in that quote they are saying, we want to focus on 4 main franchises, one of them being DC. Anyway, we're cancelling the Wonder Woman game. Make it make sense, Warner Brothers.
I do wonder if this has something to do with the DC Universe reboot, and maybe that
possibly.
Also, but I'm not implying that the bad guy, James Gunn, descended from his DC cloud and said, no, we need a clean slate on the games as well. It's all going to fit in the same universe.
Yeah.
But there may have been some things there. I do find it astonishing that Monolith are the ones that get closed and not Rocksteady.
Yeah.
Given the amount of time, I know the pedigree of Rocksteady Studio, obviously, but given the amount of time that was poured into Suicide Squad and the colossal failure that it ended up being, quite frankly, through no fault of their own. I do think it's interesting that Monolith has given so much over the years, over more recent years, and they were the ones to go. I don't really understand. Warner Bros. Interactive president David Haddad is apparently going to be leaving his position after 12 years at the company, and that was confirmed in January. So maybe, fingers crossed, we see some more sensible decision making. I don't know how much David Haddad was involved in some of the more baffling choices, or whether they came from higher up in Warner Bros., particularly the multi-billion-dollar Suicide Squad quote. No idea, but this is really dreadful news, and you just despair, don't you? I mean, what else is there to say about it?
Perhaps the reason Rocksteady were saved is because seemingly, as we reported, I think last week or perhaps the week before, they are working on a new Batman game. That is what is being spoken about, and it's certainly not confirmed officially, but if that is in the works, perhaps Warner Brothers think, okay, we know a lot of work's been done on this Wonder Woman game, and maybe some work has been done on the Batman game. Batman, they might decide a Batman game from Rocksteady might be a more sure thing than Wonder Woman. But it seems such a colossal waste of resources and time and people's love being poured into a thing to cancel Wonder Woman. And what's going to happen to the Nemesis system? I know Warner Brothers will still own it, and they'll be able to use it elsewhere if they want to, but you lose Monolith, and are you then going to have teams that are pushing to use it? Hopefully they will, because they'll be aware that our publisher owns the rights to this thing. Can we put it in our game? But
hopefully they retain the staff that had the knowledge of how to implement it in the first place. Yeah, that's another big thing. I don't know. I mean, Warner Brothers has long been an absolutely baffling publisher, making very confusing decisions that are clearly not from, to give the devil his due, even EA and Activision and all the backwards decision making they've ever made, they've ever come out with. At least they're a games company.
Yeah.
To me, at least, it's never felt like Warner Brothers Interactive is a games company.
That's true.
It's a division of a film and TV company, which is a division of something even bigger, and it's always felt slightly weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Stupid.
This is our cross-promotion department. / video game developer.
I have no idea. Anyway, we hope the affected people find new work soon. That's really, really dreadful news.
So we'll end now on the hopefully good news, if it turns out to be true, which seems like almost a sure thing, which is that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, the anticipated next double whammy from Activision, is one step closer to reality, we'll say. So a timer counting down to the 4th of March 2025 has been ticking down on the website of the Call of Duty maker. They're being described here in the notes. And now it's been officially rated by the Singaporean ratings board, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 specifically. So we knew as much as a Tony Hawk's game was coming, because the Birdman himself has had some photos posted online. I think the website, you can go to something like Tony Hawk's skatergame.com or something like that, and things are happening there. So we knew a skating game was coming, but some people were speculating that it might be something new, because I think the caption on one of the photos of Tony Hawk that was posted online was new parks incoming, or new parks loading. Yeah, so they were, new? Does that mean actually new, or is it just that's the way you're choosing to tease 3 and 4?
Would you rather have a remake of 3 and 4 at this point, given that they've proven there's still interest in the franchise, which it does feel like a lot of remakes are doing these days?
Yeah.
You would have hoped maybe Spyro would have taken the lead from the Reignited trilogy by this point, but maybe not. Or a brand new game.
I mean, I think a brand new game would be more interesting, because, just inherently in being brand new, there'd be far more to dissect. They could innovate a bit more, because when you're doing a remake or a remaster, yes, you can add quality of life touches, and if you really want to, you can kind of really go out there and totally change things. But generally speaking, it's going to play like an old game, have all the old mechanics, and just be slightly improved. But a new game coming out, they could do all kinds of interesting things with a career mode, a story mode. They could really go to town on all of that. Whereas 3 and 4, in all likelihood, is just going to be a really nice version of 3 and 4. Perhaps with a bit of extra content added in, but there's not going to be, for example, a story mode or a My Skater Life mode or something like that.
The announcement is due on the 4th of March, or as Americans would put it, 3.4.
Yeah.
Which is also perhaps a teaser for remake of 3 and 4.
True. Hadn't thought of that.
What do you... I started my sentence and I've forgotten where I'm going. Let's see if I can stick the landing. Where am I going?
Like a skater.
I've got it. I've worked it out. I've done the no ollie, nose grind.
Yep.
Skate moves. Melon. That's one, isn't it?
Melon.
That's a move. Melon?
Yes. Sorry, I thought that was your question.
Melon?
I was like, what's he asking
Would you like some melon? No. Who developed the last one? Was it Toys for Bob?
They all mix into one. It could have been Vicarious Visions. Did Beanox do a bit of it? It could well have been Toys for Bob. No, I don't know if it was Toys for Bob, because surely they were busy on Crash at the time.
I'll have a look very quickly.
If I had to bet, I would say it was Vicarious, but I might be wrong. Maybe it was Toys for Bob.
If it was Toys for Bob, where are they now?
At the moment, they are working on something. So, hey, maybe all along it's actually been this, and Toys for Bob in the background have been working on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, not Spyro, which everyone's getting excited about.
Vicarious Visions.
Vicarious Visions.
So that's fine. So they're presumably around and able to work on the next one, because you would want that through line of did such a good job with the last one, rather than shuffle it onto another studio.
Yes. I don't know what else they're meant to be doing at the moment. So yeah, I have to imagine it's probably them doing this. And hey, Pro Skater 1 and 2 was a pretty good remake. It was nothing to write home about as such, but it was exactly what you expected from it.
Yeah.
It played very well and looked good. And I think they added some new skaters, and seemingly that's what they're doing to 3 and 4, because an actual professional skater was just quoted in an interview recently saying, "Yeah, I did some work on the new Pro Skater game that's coming out.
They can't help themselves.
That'll be releasing pretty soon," with no confirmation from Activision having happened yet. So yeah, one thing we can expect probably is a few new skaters at the very least.
Yeah. Some scuttlebutt as well that potentially we could see this launching on Game Pass day one, considering that it is now a first-party Xbox game.
Yeah, interesting.
So we'll have to see. But there we are. That concludes today's news. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back on Friday with some more news. Stay tuned to our socials for daily video game news as it happens. And we'll see you in the podcast on Saturday, where realistically, if we have some more information, we may well be talking about Monolith all over again.
I think we will.
But thank you for joining us. Look after yourselves, and we'll see you later.
Bye. Bye.